par, back-to-back 67s. Right now, he is 2 shots ahead of Hideki Matsuyama, who's been red hot himself. 5 under on the round, 6 under for the tournament. We'll catch you up on the local guys as well. You know, a week from tonight, things start for real in high school football all across the state. Week 0, it'll be a limited schedule. Not everybody plays on week 0, but it seems like more and more teams are playing on week 0 and then taking a week off during the season. Tonight, last night and tonight and tomorrow, you've got jamborees all across the state. One of the big ones annually is in Charleston at Johnson Haygood Stadium. It's Sertoma. A big event down there, even though things have changed up a little bit in the last couple of years. David Shelton is there, high school sports report in the Charleston Post and Courier, and a member of our high school team here on Sports Talk. And, David, you're getting a look now at some live football, not just a scrimmage situation, some real game-type stuff, and you saw it last night, and you're seeing it tonight. First of all, who's impressed you so far team-wise?
Well, a lot of the top teams in the area are not playing. I did see Fort Dorchester today in a scrimmage against Berkeley, and they're really good. Of the games here, I thought St. John's looked really good. I think they'll be a contender in Class A. Oceanside Collegiate, which did not win a game last year in their second-year program, they looked much better this year. And really there wasn't a whole lot of impressive stuff. You know, like I said, with some of the bigger schools not participating this year, we got a lot of smaller schools, some SCISA and some Class A and Double A's, which is great for those guys. But should be a pretty good matchup later tonight when Goose Creek and Bishop England play. Oh,
yeah. Now, you mentioned Oceanside Collegiate, and I read your story. They've got a pretty good quarterback whose father is the coach, and the kid transferred in.
Not his father.
Oh, it's not his father.
Not his father.
It's his coach. It was his coach from the previous school that took
Correct.
over. Okay. He followed his
Chad
coach.
Greer,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Chad Greer came from Davidson Day because Davidson Day was going to drop their football program due to numbers. So Chad came down here, and his quarterback was going to play his senior year at Huff High School out there outside Charlotte. But his parents opted to move here, and he's playing his senior year here, and he is very good. I mean, I haven't seen every quarterback in the state, but there's not a handful better than this kid. I mean, he's polished. He can he can make every throw. Pretty good athlete. He's already committed to Wake Forest, and you know, he probably won't get considered, but when they pick the All-Star games, he's as good as anybody I've seen and or heard about in terms of the things he can do. And you know, they beat Timberland in a half.
Yeah.
Which was to say something in itself, but he was on the run all night and really made some nice throws and got that win. And I think I tweeted out, you know, he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the state, and he might even be, you know, as far as pure quarterbacks, I'm not talking about like R.J. Roderick is playing quarterback, but he's not going to be a quarterback in college. And Darion Kendrick is playing quarterback, but he's not going to be a quarterback at Clemson. But I'm talking about guys who are quarterbacks. He has all the skills and can make all the throws.
Now, Oceanside Collegiate, SCISA, what division?
No, they're a public school, but they're not in a league yet because it's their second year. They will next year. They've been classified as a Double A program.
Okay.
But they're playing a 11-game schedule, but it's a mix of SCISA and public schools. They're pretty much playing whoever they could get to play. So they play like James Island and St. John's, and they'll also play some C.E. Murray, and then they'll also play some SCISA schools. So they're just building the program. Obviously, they won't have this quarterback after December because he's enrolling at Wake in January, but he's definitely given them a spark. And they do have some other talent. They're more talented. They're getting some kids from Wando, Bishop England. I wouldn't say they're, you know, state title contenders, but I think with that coach, Chad Greer, who won 4 state championships at Davidson Day, you know, he knows what he's doing, and he's inspired that program a little bit.
You know, David, I know that Gamecock fans are licking their chops to at least see the first little bit of Dak Joyner's year. What does he have to do this year in order to make sure that, in your mind, he's progressed to be ready at the college level?
Well, I think there's no question athletically he's ready. I think, you know, he's going to have to prove he can make certain throws in tight windows. And to be honest, he didn't even scrimmage today. They played all the backups and still scored 3 or 4 touchdowns. But I think he's just got to learn to read defenses. He's gonna have good receivers in college, but the DBs are going to be a lot better in the SEC, obviously, than they are at Region 8 or 7-5A. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing he'll have to improve on. He's got the arm strength. He can obviously run. He's put on really good weight. He's about 210 right now. He looks the part. But again, a lot of throws he makes in the high school level, the receivers are wide open. He's got really good receivers at Fort. So he's got to learn to make those tight window throws. But athletically, he's ready. It wouldn't shock me if they didn't put some sort of package in for him as a freshman to run, to use his feet. But he's still not ready. I mean, he's not ready to start in the SEC, and I'm not trying to knock him. He just has to go through that natural progression of learning how to throw against those type defenses.
Yeah, that was going to be my next point, because of the fact that you have a rising junior already in place, depending on how he does this year, and Jake Bentley going into next year. Does he project best as a quarterback, or will we see some of that next year, as you mentioned?
Well, he's going to be a quarterback, and he'll tell you that. I mean, if they ever thought of moving him to another position, he'd transfer out in a heartbeat. But
Gotcha.
They've told him he's going to be a quarterback. But I do think in that, knowing the guys they have there right now behind Jake, he's not, the only difference between him and some of those guys is the fact that they're getting reps right now. He's going to get in there in January, and he's going to be able to go through spring practice. They're going to work on his mechanics a little bit. Sometimes he holds the ball a little too low and slings it around a little bit. But I'm telling you, he has the arm strength, and he can definitely run the football. I mean, he's an really athletic kid. And he's 210 right now, 6'1", 210. He's put on like 15 pounds of muscle. And like I said, he looks really good.
Well, we're looking forward to the start of the season next Friday. And of course, we'll have you with us on Friday nights to preview games. And then, of course, throughout the scoreboards beginning next week, 10, 10:30, and 11. And looking ahead to next week, what's the must-see game? I guess it's Fort D and Dorman next week. That's the must-see?
Yeah, that would be number one on my list, I think, because you're talking about two teams that are ranked in the top 10 who will have really good quarterbacks. Two teams that have a few questions on defense. So I look for some points to be scored. And then Fort Dorchester plays Dutch Fort in a couple of weeks. So they're biting off a big schedule early on, which I think will help them, because in this region down here, I think they're going to kind of run the table, pretty easily. How's your weather down there tonight? It's beautiful. I know there have been some cancellations around the state. We were talking about that earlier up here in the press box, but it is a beautiful night here in Charleston. It's rained just about everywhere but here, and that's a good thing. Well, listen, when you finish up, you'll have time to make it over to Daniel Island to the tennis center and take in the first night of the Hootie and the Blowfish concert. I know you want to get over there for that. No, I'm good. I think I'm going to go to Waffle House. Okay, David, you're going to have a waffle on us. Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you next week. Okay. Have a good weekend.
That sounds like an opportunity missed, Corn. Why are we remoting from that tonight?
From Hootie.
From Hootie.
Listen, man, you got time to hop in the car and get down there. You can make it in 90 minutes.
I ain't going to leave you.
Have you ever been to a Hootie concert before?
I have. I've done a meet and greet with Hootie.
Oh, cool.
I love Hootie. I saw Hootie at the rodeo in Texas. He's a good dude.
He really is. He's a very nice guy from what I can tell. I've never met him. He just seems like a nice guy with how he deals with the media, how he deals with the public. And he'll show up the bigger South Carolina home games. He'll pop in there.
He complimented me on my cowboy boots in Texas.
You have nice boots?
I do.
It's nice to know. All right, we'll be right back here on Sports Talk.
Just give me extra motivation. I'm not really worried about that. I know my role. I play it.
What's the biggest difference in Jake this year to last?
You can see he's very mature.
Welcome back to Sports Talk, everybody. 800-956-7266 if you want to join us. Phil Kornblut and Willie P. Will Pelagic wrapping up a first week. You've almost survived your first week. You still have 90 minutes to go.
Don't tell me that now.
It gets worse. It gets worse as the Friday night goes on.
I
Our
love
Fridays
Friday.
here are very busy and very long, with high school football.
Yeah.
We're going to send you out to various games. Going to send you to Pelion. Going to send you to Lakeview. Going to send you out to Latta.
I think you're trying to get me lost is what you're trying to do.
Going to send you to Green Sea Floyd's. All the interesting places are in the lower part of the state. I mean, we could send you up to Woodruff and Belton, Honeypath. Yeah.
You're funny. You're funny.
Don't forget, next Friday night, we will commence our high school scoreboard coverage once again over many of our stations. We'll have more scores for you than anybody, and we will deliver them to you in very quick form. So make sure you join us on our affiliate that has the scoreboard, 10, 10:30, and 11 o'clock beginning on Friday night. And, of course, we'll have those shows streaming for you as well on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Quick update from the PGA. Play is back underway. So Kevin Kisner, 8 under, a pair of 67. So another South Carolinian in position to win a major. Just to clarify what I was talking about earlier, Dustin Johnson owns a major from last year's U.S. Open, does not own it now, but he is a major winner. So we have another person from our state a chance to become a major winner. 2-shot lead on Hideki Matsuyama, who's on the course. He is playing the 15th. He is 5 under on the day, 6 under for the tournament. Jason Day on the course, 4 under today, 5 under for the tournament. Louis Oosthuizen, 3 under and 4 under. Chris Stroud on the course at 4 under. Ricky Fowler is in at 3 under. And then some of the other people we follow and locals that we like to follow. Scott Brown out of Aiken on the course at +1. Rory McIlroy is in at +2. Bill Haas, a 69 +2. Lucas Glover, a 70 +3. Matt Kuchar, 74, 3 over. Jordan Spieth on the course at +3. Now, number 10, this is where you can relate if you're a lousy golfer like I am and probably like you are.
Both us.
Because he had one of those holes that we have all lived through.
It was
except
Army golf, left, right.
Well, it was the kind of hole that we would have a 10 on, and he was still able to bogey a par 5.
Right.
Hit his drive into the woods. Second shot stayed in the woods. Third shot hit the last limb on the tree, something a pro doesn't do, but an amateur does all the time. But he caught the last limb on the tree. Fourth shot was short of the green. chipped it up. The difference is he made his putt.
Right.
You know, we would have 2 or 3 putted for an 8 or a 9. He got out of there with a bogey. But just like at was it the British Open, where he took forever, took like 30 minutes on one shot. He really slowed play down on this hole because he had to move the gallery out of the way a couple of times. He had to take some drops. It was a mess, but he managed to get out of it without too much of a problem. All right, Russell Henley, 71. He's at +4. Bubba Watson on the course at 4 over. Wesley Bryan is 6 over, and he's playing his 13th hole. He started on number 10, so he's playing the front side. He is 6 over. Sergio Garcia, Masters champion, is 6 over. Bill McGirt is +7. Kyle Stanley is 10 over, and Phil Mickelson, who we mentioned earlier, he finishes with a 74. He is 11 over. It's not going to make the cut. The cut right now is projected at +4. So Wesley's got a little bit of work to do in his final holes. Bill McGirt has the same thing. Russell Henley right now is on the cut line. +4 is the cut as things stand now. All right, 800-956-7266. Going to hear in just a moment from USC's Terry Guger. Let's go to Sam in Augusta. Next up here on Sports Talk. Hello, Sam.
Hey, how are you today?
Howdy,
good.
Sam.
How you doing?
Good. Kevin Kistner got the perfect draw.
Say
As far
more.
as tee time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you mean this morning?
Yeah, playing in the afternoon
Well,
Thursday and
he
playing in the morning Friday, yeah.
Well, he played yesterday afternoon, and it was starting to dry out. Then he got out there early, and now they're having, inclement weather, so he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Wesley, hopefully, is on the birdie side where he can chop maybe a couple and make the cut and play the weekend. So we're all hoping they both do well.
Yeah, that would be the goal, is to get to the weekend. That would be a great accomplishment for a young guy like him.
Yeah.
And right now he has he's on the 5th. He's on number 5. He bogeyed number 2. He kind of struggled yesterday, as George was telling us when he was on the show with us, and we'll get more from George coming up.
Cut line's around 4, by the way. 4
It
over
is
par.
4. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And on the backside, he bogeyed 10, he bogeyed 12, and he bogeyed 18. He's only got 1 birdie on his card today, so he's got some work to do.
True.
But it's manageable. He's only 2 shots away from the cut line, so he can certainly get it done. Thank you. And you're right. The luck of the draw when it comes to tee times, you just never know how that's going to benefit you. And in his case, Kevin Kisner's case, he got out yesterday afternoon and things went well in terms of the weather, and he was able to put together a good round. And then this morning he gets out and gets it done before the weather turns nasty. Now he can sit back. He's probably done his work. He's probably done his post-round work and his putting and his work on the tee box, and he's probably relaxing somewhere, knowing in all likelihood he's going to sleep on the lead tonight in the 99th PGA Championship.
Well, the one thing about tomorrow morning is that there's supposed to be kind of rain early and overnight, but then by afternoon there could be some isolated thunderstorms, so we could be seeing a lot more of this type of late day weather that comes into Charlotte. And I think from that perspective, it might help to be playing a little bit earlier. We'll see whether or not that affects him being in the final group.
Yeah. I think we're going to be stuck with this kind of weather throughout the rest of the tournament.
Right.
I think this system moved in this week and settled in and shows no signs of moving out of here, which on the one hand, it's great for August to have these comfortable temperatures. Usually the PGA Championship is sweltering and the guys are really out there fighting the elements. This is completely different for them.
Usually they play it in, America's heartland. You've seen courses like Southern Hills in Oklahoma and even, out west, and even, some of the other upper East Coast states as well. So in that vein, it makes Charlotte, I don't want to say an atypical PGA Championship venue, but at least in this sense, it's a little bit awkward to see all this rain out here. Matsuyama
just picked up his 4th straight birdie.
That guy's been playing
7 under par.
He's been on fire.
I watched him on the practice tee earlier today on the PGA TV, and they had a camera on him watching him just swing the club. And it's got a very interesting little hitch in his swing, top of the backswing. he comes to a complete stop.
Mm.
He comes to like a pause, and then he starts his follow through. But obviously, it works for him. As any teaching pro will tell you, it doesn't matter what you do back there, it's where that club face meets the ball. And even the guys who've got the funkiest backswings, if they get the face of the club to the ball, they get the necessary results.
Yeah, Matsuyama won the Phoenix Open in February on Super Bowl weekend, and then had a real tough string of play. He did tie for 11th at the Masters, but then his last 4 tournaments he's played, tied for 2nd at the U.S. Open, tied for 14th at the Open Championship, won the Bridgestone, and he's 2nd now in the PGA.
Yeah, playing great. Now, we will hear from George Bryan coming up after the top of the hour, and we'll get his in-person view of what's happened today at Quail Hollow. Monty Dutton, the full Monty on NASCAR at 7:30. Brad Keselowski has won the pole at Michigan. Remember how fast Michigan was back in June?
Yeah.
It's still fast. 203.097.
Didn't they resurface that track?
Wins the pole.
I want to say they might have.
I think they have recently.
Yeah.
It's really fast. Joey Logano next at 203.063. Kevin Harvick third, Matt Kenseth fourth, and Chase Elliott is fifth. And where is Dale? Where is Dale? Dale Jr. qualified 19th, the last in at 200 miles an hour, 200.178. I tell you, I mean, I'd love to see him win a race and get in the playoffs, but it just doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Not in the cards for him.
All right, we'll be right back.
Good analysis.
All right, we got recruiting coming up for you here in just a couple of minutes on Sports Talk. Stay tuned for that. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Yes, sir.
I was just laughing at what we were talking about coming back from break about kind of comparing the in-state qualifications for Clemson and USC compared to what's going on in Virginia. Just because Clemson plays Virginia Tech this year, we were talking about some of our road trips this year.
Well, I mean, yeah, and Clemson is schools in Virginia Tech. They both have military background.
Right.
They both have strong agricultural leanings. They're both in small towns out in the middle of nowhere.
And what I was saying about Virginia is,
and they're in the mountains.
Virginia is a very, very selective school in state. They, especially up where I'm from, they take a lot of the really, really smart people, and then everybody else just goes to Tech, and then the rest go, elsewhere throughout the state.
Well, here, South Carolina is the liberal arts school,
right?
So they're a little more open with the people, with the students they take in. Clemson is probably a little more selective. I think their overall SAT averages, and don't hold me to this, people, I'm just going off memory, but I believe it's a little bit higher than South Carolina's. But they offer two different
what's different?
Two different types of education. Yes. South Carolina's larger from a student enrollment wise by about 10,000 students now. I mean, Clemson used to be a school of under 10,000, and over the last 20 years, they've almost doubled their enrollment size.
Well, it's funny. Jomar was saying he thought that he had to bougie your trip that weekend because he's going to Virginia Tech and I'm going to A&M. And I said, there's nothing bougie about going to Virginia Tech.
That's a Georgia guy talking about. He's used to going to games in Athens. All right, so you know what he's measuring everything.
This is how serious. Right? This is how serious I take football at Texas A&M. They do not have cheerleaders in the traditional sense. They have the yell leaders. Which I've never understood that, and I also never understood how you could sell out 102,000 when you play Rice.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy out there. And I was amazed. The first time I went out there was the last time USC went, and I read up on all the traditions with the dogs.
Did you go to Midnight Yell?
No.
Oh, you have to go to Midnight Yell.
Well, they did that here when they come to Columbia.
Oh, yeah, they come and they do that on the State House. Yeah.
The State House grounds, yeah. But no, I was not going to Midnight Yell. I was midnight sleeping.
Did it freak you out when the press box shaked when they did the varsity swaying back?
No, because the press box at Williams-Brice will sway.
Okay. First time I saw that, I was literally
nothing
scared.
surprises me in them.
I was scared.
In a football stadium. All right, 800-956-7266. Before we get to recruiting, let's give you a little taste of some football inside USC, where Terry Guger, who is going to be a senior this year, hopes to put his fingerprints on this program maybe a little bit more than he has thus far, and you had a chance with some others to catch up with him this week.
Yeah, it's interesting. A guy who comes off of a season where he only caught 7 balls, really you're not necessarily looking for much from him, but you want to see a big step forward because of him. And the one thing that I guess he would be nervous about is the fact that a lot of guys in that room might be passing him by, but he's not concerned.
Just give me extra motivation. I'm not really worried about that. I know my role. I play it.
It's the biggest difference in Jake this year to last.
You can see he's very mature this year. He's controlling not just the offense, but everyone. Whenever someone messes up on defense, he voices his opinion, tell them to do better and all that. So he's like the overall leader of the team right now.
What have you seen out of Tooth Smith?
Ultra, he's a big body. He's using his body very well. He's throwing people around and making plays and tough catches and all that. Shy is just explosive, quick. He knows how to use his body. Even though he's a small stature, he uses his body very well to get open. Rarely misses the ball. I don't think he misses one. I mean, he has missed one since camp started, so he's special.
What's your updated record in hosting official visitors, and how much pride do you take in that?
Right now, I still haven't lost one. I'm still taking credit for all of Donnell's people because they end up with me, so I'm taking credit for it. So right now I'm probably like 12-0. I'll take a lot of pride in it because I'm here to make the program better. Like Muschamp tells us all, try to make the program as best as you can. I want to make us as great as possible.
What's your pitch? What does that sound like?
I can't tell that. I don't need everybody using it.
But specifically for South Carolina, just what do you emphasize? What do you show them? What are the kinds of things you talk?
I just show them like how much of a family we are. I know everyone when they go to school, the parents try to pitch them like educational, but I try to show them like the student life of it. But other than that, I can't release too much information.
Oh, I got you.
But the student life is what I'm mostly showing.
It's interesting what he Shy Smith as well, because Shy was working with the ones earlier today, and he was kind of working alongside Debo, kind of like what we were talking about, maybe putting them on the same side a little bit, having him in the slot.
Yep.
Interesting.
I think South Carolina's got some real gems in this 2017 class in state. Shy Smith being one, Brad Johnson being another, a couple of guys that you're going to hear a lot about this season who are going to play right away, and they need some of these guys to do just that, especially on the defensive side. Yeah. By the way, Jerry Palm, maybe more famous for his basketball projections, has projected the bowl season and the playoffs. He's got Alabama versus Florida State in one semi in the Sugar Bowl, Ohio State versus Southern Cal in the Rose Bowl, which, you know what, that turns the clock back to the way it used to be in the Rose Bowl. Big Ten versus Pac-10, or what was at one time the Pac-8. Guess it's the Pac-12 now, isn't it?
Pac-12, yes.
I can't keep up with the numbers.
There's 12 now.
When you got one league with 12 members and calls itself the Big Ten, you got another team
Big 12
with 10 members and calls itself the Big 12.
They should switch.
Yes, they should do a lot of things that are honest in college sports, but they don't. The other selection committee bowl games, he's got Florida, South Florida in the Peach, Wisconsin and Washington in the Fiesta, Oklahoma State, LSU in the Cotton, and Clemson, Penn State in the Orange. The other thing is he does not have, and I've looked up and down just to make sure, he does not have South Carolina in a bowl game.
Well, that's what happens when you trust a guy who went to Purdue to project bowls.
I mean, seriously, you could not put South Carolina in a bowl game? Certainly they're going to qualify for a bowl game.
Of course.
They are, but I mean, how could you leave them out of a bowl game in your projections? I mean, he's got Indiana and, well, South Carolina wouldn't be in that anyway, ACC. Well, I got
mad at my guy Phil Steele for putting South Carolina back in the Birmingham Bowl, and I'm thinking they wouldn't go there 2 consecutive years.
I wouldn't think they'd do that. They wouldn't punish the SEC would not punish South Carolina 2 years in a row by putting them in Birmingham.
They might put them back in Shreveport,
that's punishment worse than probation. I think they'd rather have what Mississippi has coming to them than go back to Birmingham for another year.
Ooh.
All right, recruiting.
That's harsh.
To recruiting, you have to cover the Birmingham Bowl before you can make a judgment. Offensive lineman Dylan Wanham of Tucker, Georgia, is not making a whole heck of a lot of progress towards a decision. His coach told us today, Brian Lamar said, that he likes for his players to get the recruiting over before the season. That will not be the case with Wanham. Big-time recruit. Does not expect him to render a decision until after the season. He's weighing all his options, he said. Everybody is the same. He did say USC, Florida, Georgia, LSU may have a position of prominence with him in no particular order. He just didn't want to speak for the kid. I guess maybe that's what he's seeing and hearing. But he says he's not narrowed a whole bunch of stuff down, and he's on him about getting it done, but it just ain't getting done. Of course, his brother, DJ, is at USC, and that will help the Gamecocks. And also Lamar has receiver Josh Vann, who is down to USC in Georgia and is waffling back and forth between those two, cannot make a decision. USC offensive line target Jerome Carvin of Cordova, Tennessee, plans to announce Wednesday. That's the same day that Raekwon O'Neal of Conway is going to announce. Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi State have been strong with him. Clemson reportedly offered 2019 linebacker Drake Thomas of Wake Forest, North Carolina. So this was reported by Adam Friedman of Rivals, but then the tweet was deleted. So it makes you wonder exactly why that was the case. And I should have mentioned this last night, but Bill Gunter, talk show host here in Columbia, tweeted out yesterday he had gotten word that USC basketball recruit Ibrahim Doumbia has been approved by the NCAA clearinghouse and will be on campus. So all the Gamecock signees are now in. Top of the hour break. We'll be back. And then let's chat, so we don't have to chat after the show.
Make sure you kill
Yeah. All right, here we go. And 3, 2, 1. Offensive lineman Dylan Wanham of Tucker, Georgia, is a primary USC target. He is not going to make a decision until after his season, according to his coach, who says he is still open to everyone and has not officially narrowed his list, though Coach Brian Lamar said USC, Florida, Georgia, and LSU may have a position of prominence with him at this point in no particular order. USC does have strong ties to Wanham because his brother, DJ, is a starting defensive end for the Gamecocks. USC offensive line target Jerome Carvin of Cordova, Tennessee, plans to announce on Wednesday. Alabama, Tennessee, and Mississippi State have been strong with him. And in basketball, USC signee 6'7" Ibrahim Doumbia has been given his NCAA clearinghouse approval. He will report to school this week. Phil Kornblut, South Carolina, Radio Network Sports. Why am I watching? And then let's chat. Offensive lineman Dylan Wanham of Tucker, Georgia, is a primary U sports. And in basketball, USC signee clearinghouse approval. He will report to school this week. Phil Kornblut, South Carolina, Radio Network, in no particular order. USC does have strong ties to him at this point in no particular, have a position of prominence with him. You may have a position of prominence with him at this point in no particular order. Position of prominence with him at this point in no particular order. USC does have strong ties to
time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Phil Kornbluth and Will Pelagic. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
All right, let's head over to Quail Hollow in Charlotte and get the latest from the PGA Championship. Play is back underway after a rain delay, a storm delay, however you want to put it, and things are tight. At the top of the leaderboard, Kevin Kisner is 67. He's 8 under. Hideki Matsuyama, who's on the course at 6 under, is 7 under for the tournament. A shot back. We welcome in GB3, birdies and bogeys from the PGA. And you raved about Matsuyama on Wednesday after watching him at Firestone, and my goodness, he's following through on what you had to say.
Well, hey, you and I together, when we get together, we grow. It's amazing, Phil. You inspire such.
Yes.
And yeah, he's, when your Shoot 61 game is on, and I'm standing right now, if I have to talk some of the golf talk, right?
Yeah. On
the 7th hole.
Ooh.
And Wesley is struggling a little bit, but I did watch Matsuyama a little bit again. And, when you just got this course requires complete ball control, and he's got it. But it's also really neat. I've watched Kevin Kisner a little bit. I went out this morning to watch him, and it's pretty obvious his ball is under control. And I like what he said in an interview. He said when he's hitting it in the fairway, he likes his chances. Well, so do I.
Yeah.
We had a caller, George, who said that, well, Kisner just got himself a good draw, but I think it's a lot more than that, don't you?
Oh, I don't know about. Hey, I'm out here. I don't know when you took the call, but I'm standing on the golf course, and now's this is the best time to be playing golf after the rain. So Kisner played this morning. So I would have to, at least today, take issue with that. But when you are playing the way he's playing, or the way Matsuyama is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
These guys have got it on the string, and these greens are unbelievable. Right now, some really unusual things could happen. This is the easiest that I've seen this course play. I'm watching balls stick on the green. The putting has lost its edge because of the water. If there's a disadvantage, it's not ball in hand. They're having to play it as it lies, and there's a lot of water on the ball. Otherwise, this is absolute pristine scoring conditions right now.
And the cut, about a half hour ago, it was projected at +4. Now the cut's moved to +5. So that's good news for some people. You mentioned Wesley. I know he's kind of struggling now. He's at +7, but hope is still there if he can get home with a couple of birdies.
Well, he just pumped one into the water hazard on the par 5.
Oops.
Yeah.
Why are you going to jinx him now, Phil?
So much for that. But, I mean, look, what was Phil Mickelson's issues over the last 2 days? He finishes at +11.
I got to tell you, the golf course has got such an edge. He didn't look that far off. But if you miss a couple of lines, a couple of bad bounces, it really can get embarrassing. And I was at lunch, and I was just a little bit ago in the rain delay with some of the players. And, you can be really, really good. I just heard Kelly Craft. I mean, this guy's really good. He said, George, I just hit the best shot I can possibly hit. It was the best one of the tournament. And I've done great, and I'm 30 feet away for birdie. He goes, so it's one of those things that there's such a fine line in these major championships that I'm guessing here. I didn't watch Phil play. I did watch him practice some. He wasn't too far off, but it doesn't take much to make that score go high.
Now, George, you had the honor of playing in the PGA Championship, I think up in Chicago a few years ago. At Medina.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, you know what it's like to walk inside those ropes of the major championship. And, I mean, it's just a thrill, is it not? Can you share with us what you recall from your opportunity to play in the PGA Championship and what it feels like for a career PGA pro and teacher to get that opportunity, as some of the guys in this field are getting?
Well, and there are a lot of them. It's very humbling. It's truly a privilege, and you're right. It is a thrill. And hey, we still did the radio show that week. We didn't miss a beat.
No, we didn't.
Hey, but at that point, I had learned. Dr. Bob Rotella gave me a little pep talk on Monday morning early, and Dr. Mo had gotten my mind right too prior to getting there. And I wasn't a tour player, so for me, I wasn't a veteran. Mm-hmm. But hey, it was so much fun, Phil. What I can tell you is I've never had more fun playing golf, and that's what this game is. What golf is, it's just a game. Mm-hmm. For me, it was just a lot of fun at the highest level. So, and I can see there are a few of these players out that get that, and it's, hey, I tell you, if anybody's around and can get in, it's such a great venue to watch, and there will be more fun on the weekend.
And
so
drama.
I strongly recommend.
And there should be plenty of drama. Yeah. Does Kevin have the game now? He's going to sleep. Well, maybe he's going to sleep on the lead tonight. Who knows? Matsuyama might catch him, but at the very least, he's going to be right up there at the top and playing in the final group tomorrow. Does he have the game and the temperament to hold this thing together for 2 more rounds?
Absolutely. In fact, I've had the privilege of connecting a little bit, had some conversations with him out here. Not only can he win, I believe if he gets right, it could be convincing. He's got that level of belief in himself, but he also has it right. He has fun. He has fun playing this game, and he grew up playing, and he still plays on a golf course that is going to behave a little bit like this one will when it comes down to the greens and reading the greens specifically. So I truly do believe he can win this golf tournament, no doubt.
Outside of the final pairing probables, who has your eye on moving day tomorrow?
I got to tell you, somebody like Koepka, anybody on the course that gets hot right now, and I had it pulled up in the leaderboard, but right this minute there's a lot of momentum being created, and so I'm looking at who's still out. Matsuyama, I wouldn't be surprised at all. East Haven, good golf. He's got a lot of golf left. Mm-hmm. Jason Day's got a lot of golf left. I predict them to play strong. Ricky Fowler's got. Well, no, he's done. He's done.
Yeah.
He's done.
Is there enough light out to complete this round? Do you think they're gonna have to play in the morning?
No, they'll play in the morning. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any way. But there will be momentum that they didn't have before because there's no wind. The greens are soft and receptive, and they're very easy. They're slower and easier to read. Now, if they can maintain the pace, but there will be some momentum. And those names I just mentioned, I'd be stunned if they didn't play good coming in and keep it going tomorrow.
So you see some more birdies out there this afternoon for those who are finishing up.
Phil, I'm watching it. The ball's sticking on the greens, whereas earlier the ball's bouncing like it had a cart pass.
Oh my!
It is tremendous advantage right now.
Did you see Spieth on 10 where he, for the most part, he looked like one of the amateurs, but in a typical great golfer fashion, he managed a bogey after he hit his drive in the woods, second shot in the woods, hit a tree limb, left it short of the green, and still managed to walk away with a bogey.
He's amazing. I did not see it. I heard about it at the rain delay, but yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Not at all. He's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not at all putting myself in his shoes, but I mean that's an 11 for me. That
Matsuyama just birdied again.
Did he really? We got a tie now. It's 8 under for both. But that's the kind of start that leads to double digits for a guy like me. Yes, sir.
Phil, why would you ever let me down like that and say on the radio that you could not imagine being in his shoes?
That's true.
Not with your radio game.
That's true. I'm talking about in real life. On the radio, I can outplay him. In person, he's got me by a little bit. Final quick thought, George from the PGA.
Well, man, I think I heard you just right. A final thought would be just pay attention, turn the TV on, watch what's going on tonight. And these players, I'm predicting the Matsuyama, the Jason Day, they'll carry momentum into tomorrow. And those nearby, if there's any question and you have a chance, come see this golf tournament. It's fabulous.
Thank you, George. Have a great weekend, my friend. GB3.
Mic dropping it.
Without his sign-off. Hit him high and hit him straight or something like that. We'll be back. All right, let's go back to Charlotte for just a moment and hear from the tournament co-leader. He was the leader, Aiken's Kevin Kisner, who has back-to-back 67s. He's got a halfway total of 8 under par. Right now he is tied for the lead in the PGA Championship. Amanda Balionis with the television network. Was she with TNT?
TNT and
she
CBS.
She is with
both.
TNT and CBS. Okay. So Amanda Balionis had a chance to talk with Kevin Kisner after his round to get his thoughts.
I'm hitting the ball really nice, and you know, things are going my way, which is obviously happens when you shoot 8 under around here for 2 days. So I'm enjoying that. Bad shots are working out, good shots are working out, and I'm making a lot of putts. So it's a lot of fun to play right now.
Talk to me about what you were working on with your coach, John Tiller, about loading into that right side of your body a little bit better, because from tee to green, your statistics were a lot better in round 2.
Yeah, I've always fought a push to the right and just get sick and tired of it. So once you're sick and tired of it, you're ready to go to work. And we worked hard on loading up a little better to start the ball more straight, and hitting the fairway here is key. So The ball's coming out of the gun right where I'm looking, and that's a lot more fun to play that way.
Key to staying loose heading into the weekend?
Oh, I'll be plenty loose. I have a 3-year-old running all over me all day, so we'll have plenty of fun and just keep the other one in, the other baby in. So 5 weeks left on that one, and looking forward to it.
All right, well done the first 36 holes. Good luck this weekend. Thanks. Back to you.
I'm not so sure having a 3-year-old running around with you is a way to relax and to get your mind right for the third round, but possibly so.
I'd want to be by myself, Phil. I'd want to be in my own chamber of silence, cone of silence.
Yes, probably. I wouldn't even have an idea how to react. I mean, I've never led a golf tournament in my life, not even the little peewee tournaments. I would have a clue on how to react sleeping on a lead in a golf tournament. All right. So that's good stuff from Kevin Kisner. Good luck to him over the weekend as he tries to become the second native South Carolinian to win a major in 2 seasons. Dustin Johnson, the 2016 U.S. Open champion, and now Kisner trying to claim the 99th PGA championship. That's also pretty cool.
Yeah.
To be the last one to win before it gets to 100.
To a centennial.
That would be that'd be pretty cool. All right. To some football we go now.
Once Clemson
again.
Action.
Yeah, let's talk about the Tigers. Again, practicing. They just came off the practice field. There'll be no media availability with the Tigers this evening. Tomorrow, they scrimmage in the stadium, and we'll have Dabo Sweeney for you on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, as well as from USC, Will Muschamp. The Gamecocks will go later in the day. It'll be about 5 o'clock or so before Muschamp meets with the media. We'll be there for that. We'll be able to tweet out any information that he has. And then Monday night at 6:15, Muschamp will be with us here on Sports Talk.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Wednesday night, Buddy Pugh. Somebody slapped me. Wednesday night, thank you. You're the first person to ever take me up on that. Buddy Pugh from South Carolina State will be with us. Thursday, we're down for the – speaking of a golf tournament, we're down for the annual Citadel Brigadier Club fundraising golf tournament down at Patriots Point in Charleston, and we'll have some Citadel folks with us that night. So we got a lot of great stuff coming up as we count down towards the beginning of the college football season. Clemson receiver Hunter Renfrow, you know, he's still, despite all his contributions, he's still not talked about along the lines of the Mike Williams and the Deion Keynes and Ray McLeod. He just quietly goes about his business.
He's like a Wes Welker, I would think.
Yeah,
very much like a Wes
just
Welker.
Does his job. And, you know, he has that little chip on his shoulder because, as he said earlier this week after practice, he always feels like he's got to fight for his playing time.
And we're not guaranteed to start next year. We're not guaranteed to run out there and make plays. But just from a leadership and just been there standpoint, I feel like I've stepped up a little bit.
Hunter, how do you think the offense looks, early on, first few practices and pull pads compared to this time last year?
Yeah. I mean, it was so long ago. I don't really remember last year, but I just know we're going out every single day. We're trying to get better, and that's what it's about. It's not about last year. It's not about trying to compare ourselves to last year. It's about this team and what did this team need to do better every day of practice.
Has Ray covered you at all in his little experimentation at DB?
He got me one time in the summer, and I got him out here, so we're 1-1 all time. So, but he's been doing good, and he's enjoying it. Ray's a very dynamic guy. He can play running back, receiver, DB, and so that's just fun to see him kind of take pride and do all those things pretty well.
You had the exact same procedure done to your hand last year after a touchdown catch. Have you talked to him about that, just the rehab process and all that?
Yeah, neither one of us really wanted to wear our cast, or we didn't want to get any – we wanted to make sure it was flexible. And so just talk through that and coming back. But he's done a good job. He's straight on, and he's ready to go.
How have you felt about some of those younger guys? Now that you're in pads, you can see them kind of full go.
Yeah, they've done a great job. I mean, it's just like any freshman. They come in kind of raw, and they got to learn. And so that's kind of what we've been doing. And super talented, but, I mean, you got to put one step in front of the other and go out and make plays and get the confidence. And then when we have a scrimmage, go make plays and just see how it goes from there.
I'm glad you learned to get out there and scrimmage and kind of, go 100%.
Yeah. It's fun because I feel like the defense knows what we're running every single play. They might take our script. But, I mean, it's going to be fun getting out there and going against those guys. Dorian O'Daniel, I don't know if I've caught a ball against him since last fall. He's just been unbelievably just his technique and just how much better he's gotten. It's really cool to watch.
Very similarly to what USC has with Shi Smith. One of the guys who was getting a lot of talk with Clemson practice is freshman T. Higgins, and I think he can kind of bring a lot of that strength and continual depth to a unit for Clemson, which is about as sure as there is in the ACC. I think from that wide receiver standpoint, that's the one thing that if you're Kelly Bryant or whoever is taking snaps for the Clemson Tigers this year, you are going to have reliable receivers to be able to throw to, and Hunter Renfrow is a big part of that.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. There's no drop-off in terms of the depth of talent at wide receiver for Clemson.
Now,
You mentioned Higgins.
You don't have that Mike Williams, though. That's the unfortunate part.
Well, that's true, but I mean, a Sammy Watkins leaves, and eventually a Mike Williams emerges. Now, they think Deion Kane can be the next Mike Williams. He's got the big body. He's got the speed to get down the field. Does he have that knack for going up and making the big catch that you could always count on Mike Williams to make? Only time will tell. You mentioned T. Higgins, but really Amari Rodgers is the newcomer at wide receiver who caught everybody's attention until he hurt his Achilles a little bit, and that kind of set him back. So Clemson has recruited so well at wide receiver. Look, they passed on Shi Smith. They passed on Brian Edwards. They passed on Ortre Smith. All three of those guys, if you were to cut them open and the truth were to fall out of them,
they probably all wanted Clemson offers.
They had Clemson offers.
Oh yes.
Clemson just didn't pursue them. Clemson saw Brian Edwards as a safety. They saw Ortre. Well, Ortre Smith grew up in a Clemson family. His mother played volleyball for Clemson. He was Clemson bound, but they didn't push for him because they had T. Higgins. Clemson did not push for Shi Smith because they had Amari Rodgers. Now, this is a win-win for both schools. Clemson got the two guys that it wanted and they feel really good about, and South Carolina got the two guys, the two Smiths, that they feel really good about. No matter how you get them, as long as you get them into your school, they've got a chance to produce and go back and beat Clemson. And the same thing with Brian Edwards. So Clemson has become, from a recruiting standpoint, so selective and has that ability now to go outside the state and pull in players from just the most unbelievable situations. I mean, they went in Knoxville and took Amari Rodgers, whose father is T. Martin. Not only did they take a former Vol Star's son from Knoxville, T. Martin's coaching at Southern Cal, and he didn't go to Southern Cal.
The only thing that I would say about Ortre Smith is the fact that you mentioned the fact that Deion Kane has that big body. I think a lot of the Clemson receivers have a very similar build. They're a little bit smaller. They might not be 200 pounds. I think a guy who's a big body like Ortre Smith could have very well served this Clemson offense. That's why I think he might see a lot more playing time at USC because of the fact that they don't have a lot of those big-bodied guys outside of the tight ends.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, South Carolina's talent level compared to Clemson going into this last recruiting class was very deficient. So any player along the lines of an Ortre Smith going to South Carolina is going to have a chance to play much sooner than he would going to Clemson, because Clemson's their stockpile is loaded. Their stockpile is loaded at wide receiver. That's what Muschamp is telling kids. Come and play at our place right away. That's how he's winning a lot of recruiting.
The latest on this weekend's race is around the corner. The full Monty on NASCAR is next. This is Sports Talk.
All right, let's go racing once again up to Michigan, where the speeds remain very, very high. We welcome in Monty Dutton for the full Monty on NASCAR here on Sports Talk, over 203 miles an hour. Once again, Monty, it's going to be a great race. It's going to be probably a fast race. One thing I read from one of the recent, I think it was the race at Watkins Glen, was how quickly the race got over, like 2 hours and something. So here we are. You know, people are happy about the fact that they're getting the events over with quicker, apparently, because, you know, people can't sit and watch anything over 2 hours anymore.
Well, it is an anomaly because Watkins Glen's race is only 8 laps longer than the Xfinity race. The 2 road courses are only Watkins Glen is not. I mean, it's half the length of other races. Of course, if it was once upon a time NASCAR raced at Riverside, California, and went 500 miles on a road course.
Oh my gosh!
And it took. I mean, the truth of the matter is with all the talk about what great conditioned athletes, most of these guys wouldn't be able to make it.
No.
I mean, they couldn't imagine it. Running a road course, no power steering. You know, that was back when men were men.
That's right. Now, Martin Truex Jr. went out and got himself a road course win, his 4th win of the year. He's just dominating right now. Is he going to keep this thing up and carry it on into the postseason and win a championship? Can you see this team getting everything this year?
Yes, I can, but they would be the overwhelming favorite if the system. Now, I will say this year's stage plan with the awarding of bonus points gives a lot more security to Martin Truex because those bonus points will take him a long way in the playoffs. So in that sense, I think it's an awfully convoluted system, but I do think that it makes it where, you know, 4 guys, you know, you could have the previous system, you could be very, very lucky and make it one of the final 4. You know, you could be a guy who hadn't won a race all year. I think that's a little bit more unlikely now. And I think that what Truex is doing might almost guarantee him a spot in the finals. Not mathematical, but in all likelihood. And so I do think that a guy who's running like he is now is more of a favorite than in the last few years.
So
he has more advantages.
Explain to me, because I'm not real clear on it, how the playoff points that you're earning by winning stages or where you're finishing in the stages, how do they come into play when they get into the postseason?
Well, you start each segment. You can have the way that Truex is right now, he will have enough bonus points accrued that at the very least he will be able to he'll have enough points so that he could withstand a bad race. You know, if he went through the whole segment and finished 33rd, he wouldn't make it. But the fact is, they have these points at the beginning of each stage, so it really is a case where they're not all even until the final race. And so, for the purposes of performance throughout the year, that is modestly a step toward fairness.
You would think that Brad Keselowski, being from the state of Michigan, that he would have a lot of success at this track, but he just got his first pole for the first time in 17 attempts at the racetrack. What do you think sets him up for this weekend? It seems like this is a track that doesn't necessarily suit him, but he ran good today.
Well, I think that's only an intangible advantage, the fact that he is from Michigan, because Brad didn't grow up running Michigan International Speedway. He grew up running a half-mile flat track and, you know, around that area. So there is no inherent edge because Michigan wouldn't be any different than the racetrack in Fontana. I'm sure he would like to win more, just like Tony Stewart put more emphasis in winning at Indianapolis because, you know, it was a place he dreams of winning.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think, you know, I mean, as I said, just because it's from unless now it is possible that if you grew up 10 miles away from Martinsville, Virginia, you probably would have raced on it in late models when you were 16. But the advantage that Brad Keselowski has at Michigan is one of desire, not innate advantage, not advantage grounded in experience. And his performance record at Michigan, you know, he hasn't won that.
Mm-hmm. Talking with Monty Dutton, the full Monty on NASCAR here on Sports Talk. So Dale Jr., you know, time is running out for the playoffs. Maybe he can get a win. If he doesn't make the playoffs, maybe he can get a win at Talladega in October. But this is a place where he's won a couple of times. Is this his last best chance to get a win before the playoffs?
Before the playoff, yes. But I mean, he's won it. He's won at Bristol before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact of the matter is he hadn't really run well enough to win anywhere. And, you know, he hasn't, like, you know, he's won 2 races at Richmond. The last one was in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that's 11 years ago. So, you know, the controversy of this week is the fact that his Earnhardt Jr.'s fans are very up in arms because a friend and longtime associate, Kevin Harvick, made some remarks on radio this week to the effect that Earnhardt Jr., by not performing better, was partly responsible for racing's decline because it wasn't natural for the most popular driver in other sports to not be any more successful.
Mm-hmm.
This was Earnhardt Jr. said that those remarks were hurtful, I believe he said.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Harvick took one for the team. I think that the NASCAR Brain Trust is all concerned about losing their biggest name. I think that those remarks might have been sort of a trial balloon thrown out there. I think Harvick might have taken, as I said, taken one for the team, because that certainly opened up him to a lot of criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Wider lens question for you, Monty. I know we had the divorce between Casey Kane and Hendrick Motorsports earlier this week. What's your best guess of where he might end up in 2018?
Well, I think it's another recent thing that I've been talking about for a long time. This is definitely sour grapes. It seems like all these things I've been writing about for 2 years all of a sudden have been discovered by the world. And Earnhardt Jr. actually said, what's happening is it's the same thing that's going on, you know, at the local newspaper. A guy who's been there for 30 years is making a good bit of money, and when times go hard, you know, you can hire a bright young kid and he'll work for about nothing. And that's what the big obstacle right now that Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, and Casey Kane have. They've been in this business too long, and this is a big matter of, you know, you want to ride next year? Well, yes. Well, you want to work for half what you are this year? And, you know, the average fan doesn't care about that. He's going, why, the money he's making. But, you know, people's lifestyle is based on that. I mean, when you were making $20 million a year, that those homes in the Bahamas, Cancun, and so-and-so, the Rockies, they were a lot more affordable on that budget. So I mean, you know, it's one of those things that the average person, you know, we all spend what we've got. The biggest mistake that anybody makes is when you're a high school kid, you think when you get out of school, you're just going to walk down there and see a dude looking at a sports car in the window, and you're just going to buy it.
Yeah.
What you don't realize is it doesn't matter how much you make. As a practical matter, you got the same $20 bill in your wallet you did when you were 18.
All right, hey, 30 seconds. Answer this for me, 30 seconds. They announced Camaro coming back into NASCAR next year. What do you think? How excited will people be about that?
Well, Camaro is in the Xfinity Series now, and Chevrolet apparently doesn't have. I think it would be exciting. They would be a little bit. I mean, you know, the trucks in the Truck Series aren't actually like the Silverado that's on the highway. They're about half as big.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think I've been wanting to see that for a long time. I've been wanting to see that for 40 years. When I used to watch the Wood Brothers Mercury go around there and thought to myself when I was 16 years old, gosh, Daddy, I wish somebody would buy me a big Mercury. You know, I mean, I wish they'd run cool cars. We want kids to like them, run cool cars.
Yeah. All right, Monty, thank you very much. As always, we appreciate it. Monty Dutton, the full Monty on NASCAR. Yeah, you know, put the Camaros out there. Too bad the Firebird's gone away. You could put the Firebird back out there.
They're running a discontinued model now, or soon to be discontinued model with the SS. They're no longer making it now.
That's right. Mm-hmm. We'll be right back. right, things are winding down in round 2 of the PGA Championship. As you heard George say, he does not think they'll get it all in today because it's getting dark early there.
Well, you do realize, and again, they explain this sometimes on TV when these golf tournaments go late. What it looks like on TV, that's not how much light it is outside. That's them, opening up the iris a little bit or closing down the iris and making it look a little bit more light than it really is.
So Kisner and Matsuyama in at 8 under. Jason Day on the course. He's on 15. He's 6 under, so he could catch. Louis Oosthuizen, he is playing the front side. He's got he's played 14 holes. He's at 5 under. Chris Stroud is playing the front side. He's got 8 holes to play. He's 5 under. Francesco Molinari is at 4 under. Ricky Fowler is in at 3 under. And Justin Thomas is playing the last, and he is at 3 under. And Paul Casey's on 17 at 3 under. So there could still be some more movement here in the last
could have some company up there
last
with Mr.
hour
Kisner.
or so. If they can get another hour, what is it, 7:49? They can probably get about another half hour. Well, I don't know how cloudy it is there in Charlotte, but typically it would be about 8:15. They'll come pretty close to that. So that's the story there. I wanted to mention, too, it's good to see a tweet here from Scott Eisberg, our former star intern here at Sports Talk, now at Channel 4 in Charleston, tweeted out a picture of John McKissick sitting in the stands at John McKissick Stadium. And I'm assuming that's Mrs. McKissick sitting next to him. Coach McKissick, the world's winningest football coach at any level.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got to be sitting on about maybe 91, 92. Still looks great. Still looks great sitting in the stands. Pinewood beat Garrett in the Sertoma 7-0 in their little battle, and a couple of other things. Oh, this was tweeted out from South Point. Clemson commits B.T. Potter, the place kicker. There's some video of him here prior to their jamboree, hitting from 55 yards.
Nice.
He's got a nice, strong leg.
It's nice to recruit kickers, isn't it? Very nice.
Well, I mean, listen, so many kickers and punters are taken as walk-ons, and you run that risk. You don't know how they're going to develop. If you get a good one that you offer on scholarship, man, it can make all the difference in the world.
My alma mater took a kicker off the dive team, turned him into an award winner, or he's a Grozer Award finalist.
I mean,
Jeff Wolford.
He was a kicker and he was a diver.
He was on the dive team. Jeff Wolford was a diver, and then they took him and they made him a kicker.
So, like, if he ever intentionally missed a kick, we could say he took a dive.
That's very good out of you. That's very good. It's a dad joke, Corn. That's a dad joke.
Keenan is leading Swansea 6-0 into the first quarter of their little jamboree matchup. And just want to see if there's any other scores here to pass along to you real quick.
You wanted to get on somebody for dissing Deshaun from at least you said there was somebody who was dissing Deshaun.
Don't we recall that back during draft days that there were some national talking heads who were saying, man, this is a second-round pick. He's never going to make it. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say after one exhibition game he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Well,
but he looked really good. Trubisky looked pretty good last night.
They were saying the same thing about Mitchell Trubisky. I saw one guy sarcastically say, next report's going to be, well, this quarterback class is better than the '83 NFL draft.
Yeah.
So
people get a little too excited too fast.
Well, and again, I think it's more about what each of these teams have in front of them. And I think, the Bears are in more of a rebuilding mode. The Texans are more win now. And again, I think it's like we said the other day, after Deshaun had his great day, we really want to see what he looks like when he has the first team guys around him.
Yeah. Give it time. The thing that struck me about Deshaun, not his passing. We know he can throw, not his running. We know he can run. It's just how he looked in total control and command of the offense out there. First time. And this was not, he's playing in Charlotte with a bunch of Clemson fans in the stands.
Right.
It's not the normal game in terms of a rookie in his first preseason.
There would have been a lot of things that could have happened wrongly that you could have basically given him a pass on, and he didn't take that pass. He ran with it.
A story coming out from Dan Wolken on Ole Miss, just breaking. Ole Miss officials were told not to harm Houston Nutt's reputation as football coach. In the 2011 separation agreement, Mississippi agreed to direct top officials for the school's athletics foundation and university not to make any statements about Nutt's tenure that could harm his reputation.
It's a non-disclosure agreement
As a
like
football
that.
coach. This
Yeah.
is in USA Today Sports, reviewed that language today, which has been part of an agreement both sides have kept confidential since it was signed in 2011. Of course, now everything is kind of blown up with the investigation and the accusations against Nutt coming out there, the firing of Hugh Freeze, and what a mess Ole Miss is in.
I'm wondering just how much the firing of Freeze, I guess, helps them, if at all, with the NCAA Committee on Infractions, at least as an actionable thing. But I know that it was on different allegations.
And did you know what? You know what?
Hmm.
They still haven't ruled on North Carolina.
Still
have not ruled on North Carolina. Now, the hearing is coming up. We're getting closer, but that's the big joke around here. Every time a school, isn't it amazing how quickly the NCAA moved on Ole Miss? Bing, bang, boom. Seriously.
You trying to say that they might be in Mr. Emert's pocket a little bit?
The Tar Heels?
Yeah.
I think reasonably thinking people would draw a conclusion that there are schools in the NCAA that get favorable treatment. And there are people who believe North Carolina will come out of this thing, that the men's basketball program and the football program will emerge from this unscathed. And I find that incomprehensible.
Well, I'm not saying I necessarily agree, but the NCAA has a bottom line too to deal with. That's the thing when you look at it from the devil's advocate perspective. I know it's not right, and I don't think it's right. But at the end of the day, they don't want to admit that they're a business, but they're business.
Yeah, but you know what?
It behooves them to have
Prairie
UNC
View
playing well.
Prairie View A&M doesn't care when it
you're
gets
right.
slapped around by the NCAA.
You're right.
That the NCAA is a business and treats Notre Dame and North Carolina and Southern Cal and others, maybe differently.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just I'm giving you a different perspective.
It's just amazing how quickly justice moves in the NCAA in certain cases and how slowly it moves in others.
I don't think we're breaking any new ground by alleging that the NCAA has questionable morals at the top. I don't think we're breaking any new ground there.
That's been proven time and again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, we are coming up on the end of the program. I want to remind everybody a couple of things. Saturday, tomorrow, scrimmages at USC and Clemson. I think the Tigers, let me double check the schedule.
They're in the morning, and South Carolina is in the afternoon at 3.
Actually, Clemson's
in the morning, yes.
12:15.
12:15 is our availability time, I believe. That's what they told us.
I don't know. It says 12:15 for the what does it matter? Whenever it happens, we'll have Dabo for you on the website. We do know South Carolina will be around 5 o'clock as far as the availability. Soon after that's done with Muschamp, we'll have that posted for you up on the website as well. So you can check that out, SportsTalkSC.com. Before we go tonight, Jarmart wants us to talk about our sports guilty pleasure.
Jarmart had a very interesting one.
Which I have no idea what this means. Give us an example of what you're talking about, Jarmart, just to wrap up a glorious week of sports talk.
Oh, well, the glorious week of sports talk can only be matched by the most glorious sport that you follow. And yes, we all like football. Yes, we all like baseball. But there's always that one sport that you like that nobody else likes.
Like you catch it on ESPN or FS. And
yeah, one of those that you might wake up in the middle of the night just to catch the 3 a.m. finals of the women's ping pong table tennis, as it's called, tournament.
I love darts.
All right, China versus Japan.
I'll give you one.
I love darts. That's mine.
All right, you want to know mine?
Yeah.
Bull riding.
See, I used to know a guy who was doing the bull riding. He did it for a living. He did the bull riding on TV.
I enjoy watching bull riding. Yeah.
Women's tabletop tennis on the Olympics. I am there for every single round.
Well,
you ever seen mutton busting at a rodeo?
No.
That's the Texas equivalent of child abuse.
I should also throw in there women's beach volleyball is big on my list too.
I don't think there's enough guilty pleasure for that, though.
That will do it. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.